Robin from seniorsafetyadvice.com. I was going through some papers this morning to figure out which ones I want to shred, and it occurred to me that it's a good time to put together a little video on the legal forms that you need to have for your aging parent, or if you are the person who's aging. I'm going to confess there's close to 20 of them, and I don't have them all myself, so I do need to get on the ball. But at least this way, if you're watching the video, it'll help you get started in the right direction. The one disclaimer I need to make is I am not an attorney, so please don't take this as legal advice. The best thing that you can do is visit an estate planning attorney for things like wills and trusts, and also elder care attorneys for things like end of life, long-term care, that kind of thing. So the first thing that you should really do for legal forms at all is to get yourself a fire safe. It can be something like this, as big as this one. It can even be something that's more portable, like this one, that you can just grab if you have to run out in an emergency. Say there's a tornado or you're evacuating because of a hurricane. But if you have the bigger one, you can partition it out into different categories like this one is. My mother was very organized, so this is actually their fire safe and their paperwork. And you can see she's got tabs on there. I didn't have to worry about anything. When she was diagnosed with her terminal brain tumor, she knew exactly which folder all of this was enclosed in. My dad didn't know quite as much, so it was really helpful for me that she had it so organized. So anyway, of course, the thing that you need to have, last will and testament, that's something that you're going to get from your attorney. Sometimes you can do them online as well. It's better to go to an attorney and make sure that all your I's are dotted and your T's are crossed and all of your wishes are specified, but you can do it online as well. If, like in my father's case, my mother had predeceased him, so it's good to have death certificates for the person and birth certificates for each person that's involved. You want to have at least a working knowledge of what they have for a bank account. That doesn't mean that you have to know the account numbers and the amounts or anything like that, but you should at least know, where do they bank? Do they, in my mom's case, she was always constantly looking for the better interest rate. So I'm not joking when I say they had accounts in 6 different banks. If I hadn't known that, there would be money floating around out there that my sister and I would be entitled to that would actually be put into unclaimed funds. So that is something you can do too, is you can look online, just Google your state and then the words unclaimed funds. So California unclaimed funds. If you have a parent or a relative that you think maybe would have left you money, or if you've moved from one state to another, you maybe forgot about a bank account, you can Google that and find out if there are any accounts in your name or that you are entitled to, and you can get that unclaimed money. So there's your helpful hint. Anyway, the big thing that you need to have besides a will or estate trust, that kind of a thing, is to have advanced directives, which is also known as a living will or a durable medical power of attorney. In my parents' case, like with my father, I was the power of attorney, so when he had his heart attack and he was taken into the emergency room, he was incapable of making a decision. If he didn't have anything put in place to allow me to be able to talk to the doctors and to make sure that I could make the decisions on his behalf, I would have just had to stand there and just watch him, watch them do whatever they wanted to do, and I would have had no say in it. So that also brings to mind that you want to have a financial power of attorney. Again, I was the financial power of attorney, and when he was in the hospital after his heart attack, he had bills that were still coming. I happened to be put on his account long before all of this happened, and I would strongly advise that that your parent, or if you are the parent, even just take a small account that has enough money to cover your bills for a month or two and put your adult child on it so that they also can make payments on that, use that account to make payments, sorry. You don't have to give them all your money. I know this doesn't work in all of the families. I'm not saying to do that. I'm just saying that In my dad's case, his bills continued even though he was in the hospital. I was able to take care of paying his bills. And as an aside, for a younger person, my son, who is 36 years old, just had an emergency earlier this year. He had open heart surgery. He was healthy. We never would have thought that this would happen. And yet, there he was, and he was in intensive care for 4 days. He was in the hospital for 12. I couldn't do anything. I was there by his side, but I was not on his accounts. So it means that if you don't have a durable financial power of attorney, I would have either had to pay my son's bills or my father's bills, or you just that's it. The bills go delinquent. So anyway, keep that in mind. The next thing that you want to do is to know the person's end of life instructions. Maybe the person, if they're in a certain situation, they don't want to be resuscitated. If maybe they want you to know that if they were considered brain dead, that they would want somebody to pull the plug, for example. Maybe on the other hand, they don't want that. Maybe they want to be kept alive with extraordinary means. You need to be aware of that. You also should know where to find things like vehicle titles and military discharge records, back to the birth certificates and the death certificates, divorce decrees. You don't want to have, that's something too, you need to update your will if you were divorced, because you sure don't want the ex to get the money if you were to pass away. The other thing is life insurance. You want to make sure that those are current and updated with the person that you really do want to designate getting the funds, especially if you were divorced. You don't want your ex to get that money. Anyway, you want to find out, are there any pension benefits? Is there a 401k that the person has? This is an interesting aside, but I'm a dental hygienist, and I have a patient who was telling me recently his mother passed away years ago. She was entitled to a pension. He had no idea. The pension company, astoundingly, actually found him. They tracked him down because he was her beneficiary. He's now getting her benefits from her pension. So it makes sense for you to find out all of these different things, because you just never know. Again, you want to know, does your parent have an IRA? Do they have stocks and bonds? You don't have to know which kind or how much money it is if the parent doesn't want to disclose that, or if you as the senior don't want to tell your children that, but at least make sure your children know that you bank with a certain company or you have stocks and bonds through a certain broker, and give them the information so that the person or the company can be contacted if there is a need. Back to the end of life wishes, another thing to think about is, what do they want to do as far as hospice care? In my dad's case, we did end up putting him into hospice after his heart attack. But if I hadn't known that was something he wanted, my sister and I might have gone in a different direction with his care. And then what about funeral wishes? What kind of a funeral do they want? Do they have a cemetery plot? Cremation or burial? Here where you are all living now, or do they have a family plot back in another state where they came from? All these things are things you really need to know before it becomes too late. Anyway, I think that's the end of my overview, but I hope that it helped you. If you want to find more tips, we have an article called Legal Checklist for Aging Parents. It's on our website at seniorsafetyadvice.com. And also make sure you click the subscribe button so that you know about any new videos as we release them. And then also click the like button if you did like this video. And visit us on seniorsafetyadvice.com for more tips and information about how to age in place safely. Thank you.